Yes, graduates, welcome to Hard Talk Podcast with HTK. Fasten your seatbelts. Hey users and subscribers, welcome back to another episode of Hard Talk with HTK. So, while Guyana continues to reel from the effect of APNU and PPP aligning with each other in a new coalition, there has been some fighting words exchanged by Mr. Terence Campbell and Darren Wade. 3 days ago, Mr. Terence Campbell launched an online allegation against a so-called comrade. Now, notably, Terence Campbell did not actually state who he was throwing his pot shots at. But just to go through his post, this is what he said. He titled his post, Bias. I just spent 45 minutes, he claims, discussing Friday's events with a dedicated and committed PNC comrade. This comrade was an early public critic of the failure of negotiations with WIN. This comrade issued dire warnings and was quoted in a national newspaper. I was particularly troubled by the comrade's position. I suggested to the comrade that he or she was asking APNU to surrender to WIN. Imagine my shock when I discovered that the comrade earns money from WIN. Think about the hundreds of thousands impacted by his or her comments without knowledge of the financial relationship with WIN. He hashtagged this post, "Money is corrupting our politics." Now, many were intrigued about who it is Terence Campbell might have been referring to. Live in Guyana assumed that Terence Campbell was pointing a finger at Elson Lowe being on Mohamed's payroll. He came forward yesterday and clarified that he never named the party comrade in his post. However, he wanted to clarify that the person referenced was not Elson Lowe. So, people got a little bit annoyed with Terence Campbell in the comments, stating that once again, here he goes with mix-up rather than, showing some leadership qualities. He's basically, dropping hints and not, having enough testicular fortitude to state who it is that he was referring to. Well, Darren Wade knew that the shade was meant for him, and he never hesitated to come forward in his own defense. His defense stated, I have taken note of Mr. Terence Campbell's post. While he mentioned that persons may be impacted by the statements of a comrade and are unaware of his or her financial relationship with WIN, I wish to clarify that it is public knowledge that I am the attorney for Mr. Azruddin Mohamed and Mr. Nazar Mohamed. I have spoken to the press on behalf of Mr. Azruddin Mohamed, and I also represented the WIN candidates whose bank accounts were terminated. All of this information is in the public domain, and I have always been transparent about my professional role. Because of these well-known facts, I believe it is unlikely that I am the person being referred to. However, as I have received several calls about Mr. Campbell's comments, I consider it appropriate to set the record straight. During the election period, I was asked at Congress Place by senior stakeholders to file legal proceedings on behalf of WIN. Before proceeding, I sought confirmation from our leader as to whether he agreed with that suggestion, and he not only agreed but encouraged me to assist WIN, even though one or two other lawyers were not in agreement. With regards to the failed negotiations, WIN's position in Region 10 was understandably difficult. They could not have secured both the chair and vice chair positions since they did not hold a majority. They needed 10 seats but obtained 9. However, as a relatively new party only a few months old, some missteps are understandable. The APNU PNC, on the other hand, as a party with more than 70 years of history, should have approached the negotiations with greater political maturity and strategic foresight. When an impasse arises, the reasonable course is to invite a mediator or interlocutor. Politics requires patience, dialogue, and wisdom. Strong positions can always be adjusted through reasoned discussion. In my view, a balanced outcome would have been as follows. In Region 10, the chair for WIN and the vice chair for APNU. In Region 8, the chair for WIN and the vice chair for APNU. For the avoidance of doubt, I see genuine value in the APNO or PNC working collaboratively with WIN. However, voting with PPP would, in my view, be both dangerous and short-sighted. Finally, I wish to emphasize that my statement is not intended to create division, but to clarify facts and uphold transparency. My only interest is in ensuring accuracy and encouraging constructive political engagement. So that was Darren Wade's response 3 days ago. Now, interestingly, he has not, as in Terence Campbell, has not come forward to state that actually, no, I wasn't talking about Darren Wade. So we can kind of determine that it was an attack on Darren Wade's character. Now, the people have responded, and there was indeed an article published, an editorial published in the Ketor newspaper, defending Darren Wade. Now, this article that was written by Kemraj Hariam is basically pointing to the fact that Terence Campbell clearly does not understand Mr. Darren Wade's position. He claims that the post made by Terence Campbell is a confession that he cannot win on the merits of the argument, so instead must sling mud. And that, in an attempt to paint Mr. Darren Wade as a biased pawn, is in fact a transparent act of political sabotage against a credible critic and exposes that Terence lacks political pedigree. The editorial concludes that Terence Campbell is not defending APNO, but making it a party that silences its best thinkers with cowardly attacks, and that is a far greater betrayal than any perceived paycheck from the WIN team to their attorney, who happens to be a PNC member. What do you guys think about the communication between Darren Wade and Terence Campbell? Now, in other news, Azruddin Mohamed has begun to sing like a canary. Remember, he did threaten that he was going to do this in this Facebook post. So is it surprising that he is starting to sing? After being subjected to scrutiny as a result of sanctions against him for what they consider to be fraud, money laundering, and some kind of hidden agenda around the beautiful gold of Guyana, here comes Azruddin Mohamed exposing unaccounted for gold at 4 Miles Village Council in Region 1, 180 ounces to be exact. So, according to Azim Mohamed's post, this 180 ounces of gold that has gone accounted for is from the 4 Miles Village Council, Matarakai in Region 1. The residents of 4 Miles Village are calling on the Ministry of Amerindian Affairs and the National Tushaus Council to conduct a thorough investigation and financial audit of the village council at 4 Miles Village. Concerns have come from the alleged mismanagement and lack of transparency regarding the collection and use of gold royalties generated from mining activities on village lands. According to him, during a recent meeting, the treasurer revealed that the village only received 98 ounces of gold as royalties. However, inconsistencies and refusals to provide clear financial breakdowns has raised suspicions about both the amount of royalties received and the value. Recent reports now suggest that 180 ounces of gold valued at approximately 120 million Guyanese dollars remains unaccounted for. Additionally, only 21 approved dredges have gained approval from the VC and villagers to operate. However, there are reports of over 50 dredges currently operating without following the official approved channels. Unauthorized dredges are alleged paying royalties off the record directly to members of the village council, which should not be happening. Each approved dredge is required to pay a 10% royalty to the village council for every washdown. These royalties are meant to be used to develop the village. Currently, the residents have started a petition with more than 140 signatories demanding 1. An audit of the village council's finances, including the gold royalties received and spent, 2, an investigation into unauthorized dredging operations on village lands, and 3, immediate intervention by the Ministry of Amerindian Affairs and the National Tashau's Council. And he attached some documentation to his claim from the 4 Miles village to the Minister of Amerindian Affairs, Miss Sarah Brown, where the letter is stating that there has been a gross disrespect and lack of accountability, and that for the past 4 months, the village council has not been provided an accurate update on the royalties collected or the finances received by the community, with signatures of the 4 Mile villagers supporting the petition. Boy, this not look good. Gold a go missing, royalties not being paid, money a get passed under the table. This look away. And it's just interesting that the person who is actually exposing this is somebody who has been accused of doing the same. Boy, what an interesting dynamic indeed. Right, let's move on. In other news, there seems to be a very devastating situation taking place at the BV primary school that does indeed look as though the children and the staff are being affected by pigeons, a pigeon infestation. So according to reports, there were several children who were lying on chairs joined together, ill in the classroom, and that another student, 7 years old, was hospitalized at the Enmore Regional Hospital after falling ill in the school. Parents are terrified that other students could suffer a similar fate. The school has been grappling with pigeon infestations, among other challenges that continue to threaten the health and well-being of staff and students. That despite the fact that there have been repeated reports to the Ministry of Education about the unacceptable condition of the school, very little actions have been taken. There is a buildup of pigeons in the classroom and around the compound. There are droppings and nesting debris that's making the classrooms unsanitary. The pigeon waste is exposing students and teachers to harmful bacteria and allergens daily. And I don't know if you know this, but here in the UK, we call pigeons sky rats. And it is not recommended that you have them breeding a lot, particularly where humans are residing. We do tend to have them in commercial areas or public areas, but where your homes are, no, that's definitely something that is unsanitary. Now, the school itself serves 360 mainstream students and 94 special needs students, and has 24 mainstream teachers, 18 special needs, and 3 cleaners. If you look at the population of 360 and only 3 cleaners, that's ridiculous. The ratio does not make sense. So it's not surprising that maintaining hygiene is nearly impossible. Oftentimes, parents have to step up to help with the cleaning up of the school. There is also a concern in the school of the student-teacher ratio, especially when it comes to the special needs teachers. There's just not enough of them. Despite trying to get assistance through several channels under the Ministry of Education, the conditions have remained unchanged. Do take a listen to what the teachers of BV Kwamina Primary School has to say.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, viewers. I'm here. My name is Hannah Mohamed. I'm here from the Investigation Hub on behalf of the leader of the opposition, Azruddin Mohamed. Joining me here are members of Parliament-elect, Dr. Gordon Barker, Ms. Tabitha Haley, and Ms. Odessa Primus. We're here to see firsthand the situation at the BV Primary School behind me. There's also a special education needs center in the school. Currently, there are 360 mainstream students with 94 special needs students. There are 18 special needs teachers and 24 mainstream teachers. The conditions here at the school are deplorable. We Investigation Hood made a post yesterday under the Team Mohamed's handle that went viral about the conditions at the school, the unsanitary conditions, where 4 children fell ill, and one of them was so ill he needs to be hospitalized at the Enmore hospital. So we're here to highlight the situation. As you can see, the pigeons, you can turn around and show them on the house. The pigeons are everywhere. They're dropping in the school that are cross-contaminated with the water. The conditions are very unsanitary, especially for the special needs students who already have a weakened immune system. Anyone that has worked with special needs children know that their immune system is already compromised, and then with the added unsanitary conditions here at the school, they are more susceptible to disease and illness from the bacteria in the water and from the pigeon droppings. Now, the parents and the teachers have complained bitterly. They've asked us to come and see the school firsthand. With not being allowed in the school at the moment, many of the parents have come out to give us personal testimony as well as the teachers. In the special needs center, the children do not have access to clean drinking water. The teachers notified us that they have to get drinking water from someone that brings the water to them, a private person, which is unacceptable.
I know. Me came with nobody.
There's a parent, maybe you can get her testimonial.
I am going to keep my 2 sons at home until they rectify this matter. Cleveland and Devon is not going to come there and get sick. Devon done sick. I just got to done spend a set of money on Devon. Every time Devon got to go to clinic, I got to find money. If that Georgia hospital do not have the medication, I have to put it in my pocket and buy. 22,000 from the government don't be enough to buy certain medication. Which we are grateful for the 22,000, but it still do not do. When we child taking and fall down here, what would they tell me? First thing they ask me, what you do to the children? I'm not asking you. Oh, it's the school. No, one cleaner at the disability school. Why? With all and she's elderly. And is an elderly woman? No man. Parents is writing an application to work and they're not doing nothing about it. For the public school, 3 cleanup. Is that fair?
And in the Indian area where these schools say they get 10 10-day workers. They got 10 10-day workers for one school.
And that's for Washington Primary.
But this
don't have none
here that is predominantly African.
None we don't have. We as parents, we need to speak up. We need help for our children. The president said our children is the future for tomorrow. This is the future for tomorrow. You're allowing them to get sick with pigeon poop? No. We don't want that.
Some of the parents said that they also...
So I said the parents that are coming out.
Some of the parents said that they sometimes have to assist the
Yes.
What should I write in? I talk about me section. Look at I write in the society.
We just come out here and parents just be here all day.
I show you my brain.
All day. I just be here on Fridays. Every Friday I just be here to assist the teachers there. They have parents just be here every day. Present be right now. Look a parent. Look. She's hanging out something there.
You run up yourself?
A child messed up her skin. And this is a parent. That's a parent. No, that's a parent. She's hanging out at student clothes. More teachers, more cleaners. Yes. So the washroom, every 2 morning you have a problem with the water system. Every 2 mornings. When I asked about the water, they said some days water come, some days water do not come. Now they have to the elderly woman trying to fetch water from there all the way there. Unfair. They have all these pipes here, none don't work.
They don't have a good style.
None don't work. One, three cleaner. Look, presently right now, you can look and see. The two female teachers, the two female cleaner. That young lady that braids the post, the other one, the one in the red, she's for the special need. That's an elderly woman. Those, the guy, he's not around, he's the only handyman. He's the only handyman. Two cleaners for the big school and the handyman. One for the special school.
And 0 10 they work.
It's unfair. It's unfair. The school have over 300 students. Here, over 300.
The Indian area. They got them. I put Clonbrook now and see what I write now. Clonbrook University. That's where you teach.
Good day, everybody. Thank you very much for joining the live. We are here at Acting Primary School, the school that houses
In what term?
both the primary level.
3 cleaners and 0 10 they
Also
work.
has a special section for children with special needs, housed in the same compound. And so today we are discussing. Well, we came initially. Oh, okay. So we came initially to discuss the conditions which has led to a number of students falling ill. So we have pigeons all over the place. In fact, this school has more pigeons than it has children, and so they are defecating everywhere. Of course, these are pigeons, so you don't get to tell them they should use the washroom. So the pigeons are defecating everywhere. There has been, to the best of our knowledge, based on information received from parents, this situation has been ongoing for several months, possibly years.
8 years.
8 years. 8 years, to be exact. So we have a parent here giving us a timeline. So 8 years has been ongoing. So it meant that we would have had the Minister of Education, Priya Malakchan, so she would have done absolutely nothing about that. And then we have a new minister, Sonia Parag, who swears that she's going to do her utmost best to use her words. And so still, I don't know what Sonia's utmost best looks like, but if this is it, then God help us in the next 5 years. Where our children are falling ill, and when I say our children, I don't necessarily mean my children, but the nation's children. And you know, a child suffering in one region is a child suffering for all of us. And this is unacceptable. We have seen pictures uploaded on the Team Mohamed's page with children lying on the bench and a desk, falling ill as a result of exposure to the conditions here at the school. And this is unacceptable. It is unacceptable on so many levels, because now we have children who already have challenges, whether it is psychological, physical, whatever the challenges are. And now to have those children additionally placed in a situation where their health is compromised, that is reason to worry. Even for those children who may not have disabilities, now you are putting parents in a position where they now have to find additional resources to visit the hospitals for medication and all these sorts of things. And as any of you who live in this country know, we do not have the best healthcare system in this country. More so, it is largely, it is to a great extent, as it relates to our healthcare system, and they are under pressure. Let's say that. They are under pressure there at the hospitals, and now we are creating or allowing situations that see the health of not only our students but also our teachers compromised. So it therefore means that teachers may be missing from schools, and for the most part, I'm not sure about Better for Acting Primary, but I can tell you for the most part, we are understaffed as it relates to teachers. So now, when you compromise the health of the teachers that we have, it therefore means that even the children who may not have been affected will be affected, because the teachers may not be able to be here. Then you have children who are preparing for the grade 6 and all sorts of things. Those children are also put in a situation where their best interest is not considered, and that is wholly unfortunate. Could you imagine, having seen the social media posting, put politics aside, even though it was uploaded on Team Mohamed's page, I'm also cognizant of the fact that Ray Lilly would have made a post as well as it relates to what is happening. And nothing is done. What has passed? 12 hours, 24 hours? Not even 2 hours should have passed before an intervention should have been had. Now you have children coming to school yet again today in this same situation, haven't had to send home children, haven't had to call parents to come and to get their children from school because they have fallen ill, and we still continue in this condition. This is wholly unacceptable. Now that you hear at the school, you hear about a number of other complaints where they do not have sufficient cleaning staff, and so there is so much pressure on the 2 or 3 people that you have here for cleaning purposes. If I'm sure we will get a view of the school, so you can see the size of the building that we are talking about. If you may, we can come out here where we can see the school extends all the way out there, and then it goes way beyond these trees that you're seeing down to the other end. Look at the size of this place, and we are talking about maintenance. We're talking about maintenance as it relates to a building of this size by 2 persons. And for those of you who have children, you know 2 children in a place and it becoming a mess is a very high possibility. Let alone a place with hundreds of children, or a place where hundreds of children are housed. And then look right in the background there, you see the pigeons flying. So their school is in session for the pigeons as well. But of course work is out for the minister because she has not been doing her job, and that's why we are here today to speak. Look, you can see pigeons out there in the compound as well. But look at the school there. You have pigeons just about everywhere in the compound. Try not to get any of the children in the shot, but they're everywhere. They're absolutely everywhere. And we also have pigeons on the inside of the school, the shelving. I don't know if that's what it's called. If it's not, forgive me. But there's like a wall, a curb wall of some sort up there where the pigeons are building their nests and so on. And so I am saying that it is really important and absolutely necessary for immediate intervention. As you would have seen, those of you who frequent social media, this is not the only school that has a pigeon infestation. In fact, some schools have other infestations, whether it's rats and snakes and all sorts of things we see across country in terms of happening at the schools. And I believe that if we are going to set up on social media as a government, and you are going to talk about all of our infrastructural development in this country, you know, big celebrations over the bridges, let us be able to celebrate the way we treat with our human resources, the way we treat with our children, the things that we put in place to ensure their security, to ensure that they are protected. That, of course, is extremely important. Now, we have today disgruntled parents at the school because of the situation that their children are made to face, and that is wholly unfortunate. You know, that we have to be coming. Could you imagine, we talk about us being the fastest growing economy, when our children who live in this country, when our teachers who work and who serve our country, whether it is teachers or head teachers or other staff here at the school, the cleaners, these should not be the things that they should be exposed to at all. This is unfortunate, and it is very, very, very sad that we have to be here at this place. I'm calling on the Minister of Education. Madam, I will do my utmost best to come out here at Bedford Primary School and to put systems in place. If it is that the school has to be shut down for a couple of days in order to get this place properly sanitized. I was told the toilets at the school needs some cleaning and so forth. If you, we will go across there. Let us do that. Let me show you. Come with me.
Special need parent.
Special need, okay.
Okay, look,
Thank you. We have another special need parent here.
let's see the pigeon and
You want to see this?
No, just 1 second. I just wanted them to see the grass in the compound. Look at the way the school is kept. These are small children. These are children with disabilities. Look at the. It's not even properly maintained, even out here. And as you know, you have young children here. You look outside of the compound here. It's not even properly kept. And this is the kind of conditions that the Ministry of Education has our children forced to come to schooling, have our teachers. Of course, there is no care or concern even for teachers and other staff who work and who serve here at Betisovactin. And this is a reflection not just of Betisovactin Primary, but also of what we have made to face cross country. We have another parent here, special needs child, a parent of a special needs child, and so certainly you mind having.
Now, in further news, here is your latest update on what's taking place with Dr. Ian Roberts. Now, as you know, this controversial Guyanese figure shot to fame on the 26th of September when he was arrested by ICE for deportation. Now, in recent days, his deportation order has now been granted, so it is a guarantee that he will be coming back to Guyana. Now, while this past superintendent of Des Moines intends to fight, in the current Trump atmosphere, it is looking highly unlikely. So this is what we know about Ian Roberts so far. Ian Roberts rose through the ranks of the American education system, a picture of talent, charm, with a riveting backstory. However, he had indeed a shocking secret. Dr. Roberts had spent most of his career in urban school systems, building a reputation as a charismatic, hands-on administrator. He wrote books, he gave speeches, he boasted of degrees from brand-name universities, and his life story itself was also compelling. This immigrant from Guyana competed in the Olympics and spoke bluntly about his experiences as a black man in the United States. His cover letter for his application of the superintendent role stated that he believed deeply in the promise of public education being the most important opportunity gap closer for youth, particularly with a focus on diverse populations. However, as he continued with his career, several red flags started to pop up. The district learned about a past brush with the law enforcement and a misstatement on his resume about where he earned his doctorate. But despite this, Des Moines decided to move ahead to hire him. Two outside companies were involved in vetting Dr. Roberts, who told the district officials and a state licensing board that he was a United States citizen. Now, despite this blatant lie, because it was a lie, people, nobody seemed to realize that he was indeed an illegal immigrant. For 2 years, Dr. Roberts led about 30,000 students and 5,000 employees in Des Moines, earning praise as the district showed great signs of academic improvement. He carried out his work even after the immigration judge in Texas had ordered him deported last year. Now, on the 26th of September, ICE arrested him after he was found hiding near a trailer park. He had fled from officers in a school district-owned Jeep, where they found a loaded handgun later on. This came during the President Trump's sweeping federal crackdown on illegal immigration and on diversity programs in workplaces and school systems. Now, several documents were reviewed by investigative journalists, and they examined texts that were exchanged with the detained superintendent through a jailhouse messaging service. He was described as a smart and ambitious educator who sought out the tough assignments and earned the respect of his students and colleagues. However, it also revealed in the investigation process that there was a pattern of lying and embellishment that helped to propel Dr. Roberts into positions of authority. There were a series of oversight failures that allowed him to flourish.
Said he was principal, said he was the most important principal in the country, said he went to George Washington, said he went to all these schools, got caught with a gun. But this tells you something. That is what happens when you have a liberal, progressive agenda. In the Des Moines public school system, that school board allowed it to happen.
And when that came to light, did they admit that they were wrong about it? No. Actually, one of the ladies who's running against me, Jackie Norris, who hired him in the first place, right, do you know what she did instead? he went to the internet and tried to ask for money and campaign off of it. My other opponent, Zach Walls, defended this con man. And let's be clear, that's exactly what he is, right? He's a con man, he's an illegal immigrant, he is a criminal. And enough is enough, so he can't be deported fast enough as far as I'm concerned.
We had an illegal immigrant with a criminal record running the Des Moines public school system. Boom! This is what happens when you worry more about their statement, not mine, diversifying staff than hiring the right person for the job. I'm grateful to our brave ICE agents for ensuring this dangerous criminal no longer has access to our children here in Ohio.
We had ICE Des Moines arrested a man named Ian Andre Roberts. You may have heard of him. But from Guyana, pretending to be a citizen, that no one did a background check on him, to become a superintendent, interacting with children every single day, making a six-figure salary with benefits as well, that so many people in the United States could have been benefiting from. But his background and criminal record was that he had criminal possession of narcotics on his background with an intent to sell in New York, convictions for reckless driving, and for speeding in Maryland, and second and third and fourth degree weapon charges for having guns illegally in this country. And now he's away from your children and he's being brought to justice as well.
Now, while it is undeniable that Dr. Roberts is a good man whose main interest was inspiring and educating young people, many of his claimed achievements and academic accolades could not be proven. Now, just to think backwards on this man's decorated career, he was a premier guy on the track team. He had a great ability to achieve and stand out amongst his peers just by the fact that he was so focused. Dr. Roberts had competed in ever more prestigious track meets. He represented Ghana at a World Championships in Spain and a Pan American Games in Canada. In 2000, he ran in the men's 800 meters at the Summer Olympics in Australia, although he did not advance past the first round. Now, here are some of the discrepancies around Dr. Roberts' claims. He stated that he was born in 1970 in Ghana. However, on the Olympics documents, he stated his birth date was 1973. In Des Moines, his official bio said he spent most of his formative years in New York City. However, at Coppin State, the track team's media guide listed Guyana's capital as his hometown and said he attended high school there. According to ICE, Dr. Roberts entered the United States on a visitor's visa in 1994 when he was in his 20s. He traveled in and out of the country and was arrested in New York in 1996 on drug charges, and in 1998 on a charge of unauthorized use of a vehicle. The outcome of the drug case remains unclear. However, I said that the vehicle case was dismissed and that records of those arrests were not publicly available. The arrests, however, did not prevent Dr. Roberts from receiving a student visa in 1999, which granted him legal status in the United States until 2004. So it's reasonable to imagine that he was legal when he was competing with the Olympics in 2000. He then received a bachelor's degree from Coppin State in 1998, then enrolled at St. John's University, New York, where he competed on the track team and received a master's degree in education in 2000. So this was not an uneducated man. He had not fabricated all of his degrees and achievements. The following year, he applied to become a permanent resident of the United States. However, this was declined. He returned to Baltimore, where he worked as a teacher for 5 years before becoming a principal, a fast rise in the school system facing deep challenges. In the following years, Dr. Roberts' career started to take off, although his immigration status during this period remains very unclear. ICE indicated that Dr. Roberts had legal status in the country from 1999 to 2004, and then from 2018 to 2020. So we don't know what going between 2004 and 2018, people. But neither the agency nor Dr. Roberts' lawyer provided details about his status in the intervening years. For part of the time, however, he did lead a struggling high school in Washington, D.C. He spent about 3 years in the district office of St. Louis Public Schools, worked at a charter school network, developing a reputation as a specialist who turned around underperforming urban public schools, which is one of the toughest jobs in education. In 2017, records showed that he married an American citizen in Florida. After the wedding, he twice filed for receiving 1-year work authorizations. He also submitted 3 more applications for a green card, according to ICE, all of which were denied for reasons the agency did not specify. All right, so we're now in 2020. The Mill Creek Township School District in the suburbs of Erie hired him as a superintendent. One of his performance reviews would later praise him for his devotion and passion for team building and continued learning. However, behind the scenes, there was some tension. Records showed that the district had to settle cases with at least 3 employees who claimed they were mistreated during Dr. Roberts' tenure. He then applied for a job in Pennsylvania, where Dr. Roberts told the school system that he was an American citizen. A few months after he started, his authorization to work in the U.S. expired. Now, on the day of his arrest, that was meant to be a day where there was some sporting activities taking place at Des Moines. Now, there was supposed to be a race between Dr. Roberts and a second grade student. This was meant to be, something, a bit of a light-hearted banter between himself and a student, in the spirit of sportsmanship. No, that was supposed to happen at 9 a.m. However, at 8:56, Dr. Roberts had texted the school district's communication director, who was on his way to where the event was going to take place, the sports event, saying that an emergency had come up and he would not be able to meet him at the school. 50 minutes later, he then gave this communications director a FaceTime call. When the communications officer answered the phone, someone other than Dr. Roberts was holding up the phone, and Dr. Roberts was then seen standing with his hands behind his back, flanked on both sides by the law enforcement officers. In the days that followed, the school board placed Dr. Roberts, who had a base salary of about $286,000. He was placed on paid leave. Then he was placed on unpaid leave, and then he submitted a resignation. Now, while what has taken place with Dr. Roberts has shocked the majority of Americans about his ability to work for years without authorization, it is not a strange thing happening in the United States. There have been several rules that have even incentivized the employment of millions of people who have a lack of legal status. Employers are required to inspect identity documents that appear to be genuine before putting a new worker on payroll, and many employers have feared that subjecting prospective employees to deeper scrutiny would open them to accusations of discrimination or make it difficult to find workers. So, rather than doing that investigation, they just accept surface documents or claims as a thumbs up. What was particularly shocking about Dr. Roberts' case was that this was not someone living under the radar, toiling in a low-wage job. In fact, he had undergone what had seemed like an elaborate vetting process and was regularly in the public eye. Now, the flaw of Des Moines was the fact that the school district does not vet applicants' work eligibility in the federal E-Verify system, which is a program that checks documents against official databases. Iowa is simply not required to use that. Now, the school district has clapped back, basically accusing JG Consulting of failing to properly vet Dr. Roberts. Now, this is the agency that they used in the employment process. The consulting company has clapped back, stating that they were provided the documents necessary to show that he was eligible for the position by Dr. Roberts. However, on further and deeper review of his background, there were revelations that Dr. Roberts had lied, stretched the truth, or made public statements that could not be verified on a range of issues. When Dr. Roberts had applied for the Pennsylvania job, he claimed to have a doctorate from the Morgan State University. Though he was enrolled at Morgan State for several years, university officials said he never received that degree. His claim of a Morgan State doctorate was repeated on his initial application in Iowa, though his resume was amended after the consulting firm discovered the discrepancy. An article actually published on the Des Moines Public Schools website had said that Dr. Roberts received a master's degree from MIT, which said it had no record of his enrollment. Dr. Roberts also said on a job application that he was named the DC Principal of the Year by George Washington University, though the university also said it had no record of giving such an award to anyone. Election records in Maryland showed that someone with Dr. Roberts' name and other identifiers was registered to vote there as a Democrat. State officials claimed that there was no record of Dr. Roberts actually voting, as only American citizens can vote or register to vote. However, other parts of his biography checked out, including his Doctor of Education degree from Trident University International. His lawyer had provided a photo of his doctorate, which says it was issued in 2021. Des Moines school board officials were aware of a citation against Dr. Roberts from Pennsylvania for having a loaded firearm in a vehicle, but said they were unaware of other encounters with the law enforcement that ICE had described, including the arrest in 2020 for a weapons possession. Interestingly, that 2020 episode refers to a now sealed case in New York. Dr. Roberts was at LaGuardia Airport when a gun was discovered during a routine check of his bag, leading to his arrest by Port Authority police officers, according to a law enforcement official. It was unclear how that case was resolved. Now, initially in Des Moines on the day of Dr. Roberts' arrest, many professionals at that school were calling for radical empathy. However, 1 week later, they are now stating that Dr. Roberts was an individual who was deceiving the public for decades. Since his arrest, Dr. Roberts has been shuttled between Iowa jails. However, during a stay at one jail, he responded to a series of questions from reporters over a messaging system that inmates can use. He states that he is hopeful, prayerful, and optimistic that there will be a path for him to stay in the U.S. and continue inspiring and having an impact. He defended his records in Des Moines, noting improvements on test scores. Now, the gun charges that he met in November 2021 in Pennsylvania was, according to a citation from a state game warden, he had placed his rifle in the back seat of his vehicle after a hunt. The warden had inspected the rifle and saw that Roberts had failed to take 4 rounds out of the gun, which is illegal when the gun is in a vehicle. He also did not put the safety on the gun, according to the citation. He had pleaded guilty a month later and paid a fine. Now, he used this story in order to defend himself, which led to a lot of the members of staff thinking that ICE had actually targeted him and used him as an example purely because of this citation. Now, even though when he was busy applying for these top posts, he lied about his doctoral degree, he did lack the educational certificate from those educational facilities that he obtained his doctorate from. Now, while Roberts had indicated that he received the doctoral degree when he successfully applied to become the superintendent of the Mill Creek Township School District in Pennsylvania, in July 2020, the board offered a contract to Roberts, but was still waiting for him to receive approval from the Pennsylvania Department of Education. A school district employee had asked state officials why the process was taking a long time. As far as they could tell, the only response was that Dr. Roberts lacked the educational certificate from his educational facilities, where he obtained his doctorate. Now, Roberts did receive a doctorate degree a year later in 2021, where he defended his doctoral thesis in front of a faculty at Trident International University, which is a private for-profit online school. Not from where he said he got it from, okay? Now, interestingly, while he was in Guyana, he had become a high-ranking police officer before migrating to the US in the close of the 90s.
He said he was in these groups that were known as death squads in Guyana when he was a police officer. There was a lot of crime, rising crime at that time, and they dealt with it by having police who would kill people instead of arresting them. And that was, a human rights issue that people were talking about into the late 90s. At that point, he would have been gone.
And he writes about this in his own book?
Yeah. Yeah, I think he tries to say that he kind of would push back when there was signs that the killing was not what the police were saying, so he was trying to say that, but he talks about himself as a trained assassin. I don't know, maybe he's kind of trying to make himself sound tough, but he certainly, this is the background he came from. And it's not clear what happened to him in the mid 90s. There's this 96, he had an arrest, which didn't result in a conviction. That was, I guess, the gun related at the airport in New York.
Oh, there's another gun related thing.
Well, yeah, there's more than one gun related thing.
Okay.
That was, that was something that didn't result. This has just more recently come out from DHS. Didn't result in a conviction as far as what their report is. But it sounds like he maybe came to the country, got into some trouble, left again, and then came back as a student.
ICE now claims that they have a final deportation order to send Roberts, with his PhD in education, back to his native Guyana, where he had served as a police cadet officer working in several departments, including immigration, criminal investigations, and the narcotics branch before he headed to the US in 1999 on a student visa. This young cadet, who enlisted in the 1990s, was identified for accelerated promotion due to his athletic and academic prowess. He had attended the University of Guyana while he was junior rank. He was sent on a standard military officer's course, and after graduation, he came back to the police. He served for a few years and then he left. He was never dismissed or dishonorably discharged at all. He just moved on. They described him as a good, promising, and disciplined man who had worked in several police departments, including immigration. By the way, the man deceived everybody, all deceive him family. He has a brother by the name of Colin who lives in Barbados. And he is convinced that his brother will win his battle with ICE. He claims that his brother was never living illegally in the States. As far as he knows, he is a citizen. But brother, not according to ICE, not according to America. They have targeted this man as a part of their crackdown when it comes to illegal immigration. Now, it is about ridding the country of illegal aliens, and they will use any anomaly in order to do so. He has done amazing things, and it is clear that he had won over so many American citizens to rally behind his name and fight for justice in his name. But now they're all backing off. Now that information is being revealed and blatant lies have been told, this man has no longer got the Americans on his side. And it is highly likely that the deportation order will hold. If you have made it this far into the video, please do not forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe button and click that bell so when I drop new videos, you are notified. This is your girl, Head Teacher K, and I'm out.